Hey, welcome. Today we are covering what every founder needs to know about cap tables, including the basics of ownership, tools for tracking, and how to avoid the most common early stage mistakes that I see founders making over and over again. So this is for founders raising early capital, hiring their first employees, or just trying to keep yourself organized and professional for when you do decide to raise money or scale your business. Overall, to get started, what is a cap table? You may have heard this term, and the simple definition is that a cap table is just a record of who owns what in your company. Now, when you're getting started, it usually starts off as something simple. Often people throw this into an Excel spreadsheet, but as you're building your business, it gets more and more complex. Now, most early stage deals use safes or convertible notes. There's plenty of resources online that talk about the details of safes. I have videos on that as well, but in plain language, this is just a simple agreement for future equity. The important difference is that you want to know how these things convert and track for you and your ownership. Investors usually want preferred stock, and founders and employees usually hold common stock. So what's the difference between preferred and common? To give you a little bit of definition, preferred really is that they get paid first in a liquidation event. So if there is money invested in the company, when that money comes out as an acquisition, that preferred share typically gets paid back first. Pay attention to some of the details of the language, and this is why some of the details in a cap table tool are so important, because the nuances between pre-money and post-money language can have significant impact on your ownership. And discounts and caps can have a significant impact on your ownership. These differences are non-trivial and they're difficult for folks to calculate even if they are familiar with the space. And what really helps this process is often a cap table tool. Now, when you start your company, using a spreadsheet is a perfectly normal way to keep track of some of the equity. But once you start dealing with pre-money and post-money, conversions, convertible notes, and safes, it can get really complicated in terms of keeping track of this in a thoughtful way. Even small companies with a few investors can end up with outdated spreadsheets, conflicting records, confusion over actual ownership, and understanding that X happened on Y date, but legal doc says something completely different. And for you as a founder raising money, you want to make sure that you're able to answer questions cleanly to both your employees and to future investors. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Fidelity Private Shares, a great organization I've known for a number of years, a modern cap table management platform built to simplify equity for founders, investors, and teams. Let's be honest, managing ownership can get messy fast, whether you're issuing safes, granting equity to early employees, or prepping for a fundraise. Fidelity Private Shares helps you stay organized and investor ready from day one. Fidelity also has built a robust ecosystem of collaborators, from legal and tax experts to accelerators and incubators, all designed to support startups as they grow. Important note, Fidelity Private Shares LLC provides cap table management and administrative services to private companies and their equity compensation plans. Fidelity does not provide legal or tax advice, so be sure to consult your attorney or tax professional for guidance specific to your situation. To learn more, use the affiliate code down below, HalfIdeas, or the link in the description. Now, when you're getting started with equity, the first question I get all the time is, how do you split equity between a founder and a co-founder? Should it be 50-50? Should it be some other formula? And I always ask founders the question, like, if a co-founder wants 10% equity, the question isn't like, is 10% fair or not fair? The question is, can they grow your company more than 10% of the value? The key thing that I recommend is really consider whether your contribution and effort into the company is equal and whether the risk that you and your co-founder are taking are also equal. Often this is a discussion between co-founders to just make sure that you are truly splitting the equity fairly. 50-50 may be a fair split, but it is really a discussion. You don't want to be 6 months or 12 months down the road and having someone be resentful because the equity, the effort, the risk is not fair. So make sure you take the effort up front to have that honest heart-to-heart conversation with potential co-founders. Often it is equitable to have both founder and co-founder have that equal share in equity. There's plenty of examples of very successful companies that have done so. But really consider and make sure that you're having the honest conversation with your co-founders, that everyone feels it's fair. Now, an important thing when startups are getting started is actually to discuss what happens if someone decides that they want to leave early. And I've seen this blow up a number of different early startups. The important thing for founders to do is to vest your equity. Investing your equity just means that over time, that equity actually matures and becomes equity in the company. This is often referred to as options, but consult your lawyer to give you a little bit of advice on how to set up proper vesting. My recommendation, all employees, including co-founders, vest their equity over the first 4 years of the business. This reduces that risk of what happens if an early employee leaves, and it also makes sure that your equity split is in fact equitable, that you're using the same rules across all employees. And what this really means is that if after a year or two, one of your co-founders decides to leave, it means the entire cap table isn't upside down. An upside down cap table may prevent you from raising any money from investors, because investors want to know that the founding team is still incentivized by the ownership in the companies. In every situation, you also want to reserve some equity for both new hires and advisors. This is often done through a stock option pool or stock option plan. You may be able to attract incredible advisors, incredible employees through that equity to help de-risk your business and help your business grow further and stronger. Now, as each employee joins, the amount of risk that each employee is taking does diminish. And so if you are an employee number 1,000, the amount of risk that you're taking is certainly smaller. That being said, in some companies, even that 1,000th employee may have made millions from the employee stock options that they received. Now, in terms of the tools to use, certainly tracking in spreadsheets can work in the beginning, but very quickly these tools do tend to fall apart. It's better to adopt a tool early than be scrambling once things have gotten a little bit out of hand. I've seen this time and time again. There's a ton of tools out there, certainly Carta, AngelList, Spreadsheets, Excel. I mentioned our sponsor, Fidelity Private Shares. It's important for founders to really try these tools and find something comfortable for you to use. Ultimately, this is going to be a long-term tool that you will use for typically the duration of your company. It could be 5 or 10 years. So make sure you understand the tool, understand the people who are providing the tool, make sure you're comfortable with it. Investors expect a clean and up-to-date cap table when you raise. It shows professionalism and can maximize your chances of securing funding. Now, to wrap it up, don't wait until your cap table is broken to get it sorted. Equity is your company's most valuable asset. Treat it accordingly. With the right tools and proactive mindset, you can stay ahead of any potential mess. I'm Greg Raiz. I'm trying to help entrepreneurs build amazing companies. Leave a comment down below. Would love to hear from you in terms of what you're building and how you're thinking about cap tables and equity.